What's up, wrestling fans? Joe Cronin, Dave Rose, Jake DeMarco, and we're this is the hangover from the pay-per-view last night that was bizarre, to say the least. I feel, I'm going to start right off by saying I feel that 20, 30, whatever 20-minute thing with Rusev and Cesaro and stuff, whatever that was in the middle of the show, that's where it like really brought it down for me. And Dave, you just started telling me about how you maybe dozed off at some point. I'd like to hear about that. That's interesting. A lot of people, by the way, said they fell asleep, and it wasn't a joke like, God, I fell asleep, dude. Like, it was not a joke. People fell asleep.
Well, that's the thing. I, tongue-in-cheek stated on Twitter, I have a bad feeling that I believe that this pay-per-view is going to put me to sleep, just like Raw. And I really wanted to stay up. I really tried my best to give all my energy to watch this pay-per-view. But I kid you not, this is something like out of a storybook. But the match with Bayley and Charlotte comes on, and I literally feel like somebody's casting a spell on me to fall asleep. Like I'm fighting to stay awake, and I know what's happening, and I'm trying to stay awake. The next thing I know, the pay-per-view's over and Joe Cronin's show started. And I'm thinking to myself, first of all, I'm pissed at myself for having fallen asleep. But then I'm also realizing at the fact, like, holy shit, like, this thing really put me to sleep. Like, I was half joking that it would. And that pissed me off even more. And then learning, watching your review, because I stayed up, like, another 30 minutes before I was like, I'm absolutely dead. I got to go to sleep. That the pay-per-view probably wasn't even worth watching. Now, I did watch this morning, and I can totally agree with the aggravation that a lot of people have displayed, as well as what you've discussed on your review. But I understood quite quickly that even though I fell asleep, I may have dodged a bullet, because it was it definitely was aggravating to find out the results of this this pay-per-view and realize that it was garbage. It was exactly what some smarks or, whatever would say, that it just was not worth all that time that we invested in, except for those two cruiserweight matches. The tag team cruiserweight match and that one between Gallagher and Neville, which really were the only highlights of the show. Everything else, quite honestly, was an absolute disgrace.
It all fell flat. Well, you guys will be interested to hear this. Brian Alvarez from Wrestling Observer Radio said that Nia Jax, she was, heavily favored, as we discussed with the Vegas odds, was scheduled to win last night. As they were walking to the ring, it said that Vince McMahon decided that Sasha Banks was going to, claim the upset and win. So right as they're, from gorilla position, Vince changed his mind. Now, we know that's not uncommon, but they still wanted to protect Nia at the same time. And now Sasha's facing some heat backstage because she botched the finish. When she was additionally, the finish of the match at Fastlane from Sportskeeda, she was supposed to see Sasha holding the ropes while rolling up Nia Jax in order to keep Nia protected. But Sasha botched the finish and failed to do so. So now she beat Nia clean. She was supposed to cheat, and she didn't. Hold on.
I need to ask about this.
I thought she did cheat last night almost.
So a heel was supposed to lose dirty by a face?
Yes, that was the revised plan from Vince on their way out from the gorilla position.
So that would make Sasha a heel. So
well, they're working on turning her to face Bayley at Mania, I guess.
Yes,
so
okay, but then you'd have two heels that want the title, and to have them face each other, I'm not getting this. It's just not making sense.
That's the problem with last night. It was, hard to make sense out of many decisions.
That would be, yeah. I mean, I almost thought she did grab it. I said that to Leah. I shouted it out loud. I said, "Oh my God, did Sasha just cheat?" And then I actually had to rewind it back. I waited for the replay. The replay happened, and I go, "Oh no, she didn't touch the rope. She just used the rope as she rolled out." And Leah was like, "Well, it was close."
But here's the thing. I'll be honest though. I actually was kind of satisfied with that result. I liked the fact that she was able to win clean over Nia Jax. I mean, I wasn't insulted. I thought it did well. If we were to progress with a face storyline for for Sasha Banks, which again is in total opposite of what we're seeing, because it looks like they're sort of gearing her up to go heel. But I thought that was quite enjoyable. I really enjoyed to see her win clean against a very superior opponent, and I don't know, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I didn't really have a problem with it.
I did, because they
wasn't
so
so
much
much
recently to build
I
up
take
Nia,
it back. I didn't feel that way last night. I thought
I'm still not for it.
I was upset because why build Nia Jax for this whole thing, and then it seemed like Nia was going to win, and
The whole night was a mess. I'll agree with that. I mean, I do, at this point, I'm so desperate for entertainment that I'm willing to take the littlest kernel of enjoyment from these matches. And that's kind of sad too, but I mean, it's not our fault that we're expecting a great show as they promise, and we get a lackluster show as what we got last night.
Yeah. And I mean, even Forbes is reporting that there was a big argument in the back against Strowman losing cleanly so early in his push, and the fact that if anyone was to beat him, that it had to be Roman Reigns. Vince said he looks and acts the part, of a promotion-carrying superstar, and that's an issue for a lot of other people in the back. So apparently that finish was also changed close to last minute too. Vince wanted Roman to go over against the better judgment of other yes men in the back. So
that was dumb.
Yeah, that baffled me. And especially the way that, I mean, if you look at that table spot again, he obliterated Roman and absolutely, decimated his body, hit him with some great offensive maneuvers. And then to even see him, I mean, he missed, but to see Strowman go off the top rope, he really gave it his all, and he did a fantastic job. But Roman undersold or no-sold most of his offense, and it was just disgraceful. I see, former wrestlers that were in WWE at one point bitching about him on a regular basis about he refuses to sell certain moves or just, doesn't build up his opponent properly. And that was absolutely evident last night.
He just kind of takes the punch like, oh. But he doesn't.
And, it's easy to make the comparison to a 2010 or 11 John Cena. Last night with him going over Braun reminded me of Cena beating the Nexus. You had someone or a group of people at a point in time that are essentially getting over with the crowd. They're getting that white hot status, and then it just gets knocked out before they ever get a chance to excel. And it's just so disappointing.
What did you guys think of the crowd last night?
They were I thought they were pretty good. I thought they were loud at many points when they were wanted to be. I thought they were some quiet at some point, but I think they gave the show exactly what it deserved. At certain points, they were loud. Sometimes they were quiet. I literally believed that they were just fucking jerking off the Big Show, like when he was choke slamming Rusev, and they started chanting again, one more time or whatever. I almost feel like that was them just kind of being dickheads. They were so bored of what was going on that whole time that they were like, one more time. They were starting to just get smarky. So I thought they were fine.
That's enjoyable, though. I'll be honest.
It was.
I very much do enjoy when the situation gets out of control and the audience takes it up as a challenge to sort of force the show into a better. They made
that segment way better, because up until then, remember, everyone was quiet. It was awful. It was like, what the fuck is going on? And then the Big Show comes out, and you can hear them. They were booing. Those people actually, if you listen to them, they thought Kurt Angle was coming out or something. They thought Kurt Angle was going to come out.
Especially with the rumors so heavily, flying around about Angle or Finn or Undertaker. The fans there were expecting somebody.
Well, and then
it was a mixed crowd.
Right.
Actually, because you would have a lot of cheers for Roman, but you'd have a lot of boos as well, and that's including the fact that they're always fucking with the volume. So, and there was some points, actually, it was hilarious. I noticed this. There was some points in the night where they actually lowered the volume when there was cheers, not when Roman Reigns was there, but they lowered the volume accidentally. So you could still hear cheers, but you could notice an effort to lower the cheers. It was hilarious.
You notice when they mess with the audience, too, with the volume levels, because the announcer's voice goes down, too.
Yes.
And also, speaking of Big Show being booed and Roman Reigns, Big Show recently did an interview with Forbes, and he said this exactly. He said, our audience has a way sometimes of being misinformed from the wrong people. The internet is full of so-called experts, air quotes, who couldn't lace up a pair of boots. That's okay. Everybody is allowed to have their own opinion. I appreciate a guy like Roman Reigns because of his ability to weather a very rocky storm. He's getting a lot of grief for something he doesn't deserve. It seems like it's the in thing to boo Roman Reigns. And I couldn't disagree with this more. People don't hate him just to hate him. I mean, maybe there's some out there that, he's another Cena. Okay. But the reason I don't care for him personally, and I know many others feel the same way, is everything we listed already. That constant cocky smile, his inability to perform on the mic,
Jake,
lack of selling.
Jake, okay, some might consider you a smart. Let's just go with that reasoning. Okay, so you're a smart. What about all the casuals, apart from the 7-year-olds and the soccer moms, that are booing him?
Exactly.
Clearly, you have a point, they have a point, and it's not just some conspiracy of internet wrestling community that is booing Roman Reigns. It's the fact that people can clearly see this guy has been shoved down our throats, and that their intention is to basically make him the champion, whether we like it or not. So it's not our fault that we're calling them out on that bullshit.
That's precisely the message that I was trying to convey, Dave. Thank you for clarifying. I just, I'm frustrated. That's what the problem is. Everybody's frustrated. We're tired of seeing the same shit day in and day out. I actually rewatched the end to WrestleMania 30 today. I don't know what possessed me to do so, but the triple threat with, Batista, Randy Orton, and then Daniel Bryan. And even after The Undertaker losing, to Brock Lesnar and the streak being conquered at that point, that crowd was in such a raucous, they were ready to, cream their pants. They were so excited to see Daniel Bryan win after, so much different emotions throughout the night. That pop, that explosive environment, we haven't seen anything like that since Daniel Bryan was forced to retire.
Right.
Correct.
That's the thing. If we see Lesnar or Goldberg win at WrestleMania, we're not going to see any type of reaction like that. There's not one star or match at WrestleMania this year that's going to equal even 50% of that reaction, and that's sad. That's really depressing.
It's not good for them.
No, absolutely not. To know that your crowd is not going to be as excited to see the product that's supposed to be, the greatest of the greats. It's just, I'm baffled. I can't fathom, I could pinpoint certain parts where they went wrong, but I can't fathom how they got here, how they don't realize, hey, we're fucking up. We're losing ratings. We're not selling out arenas anymore. Our merch is down. Everything's down. We're not picking up more subscribers for the network. What can we do to fix this? Instead, they just point the finger and have people like Mick Foley and Big Show blame the smart fans.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of them do that, and they're going to do it more because, obviously, as you've seen in the interview with JBL and Road Dogg, and many other people have mentioned it so many times, too, that, or at least, I don't know if they actually believe this, or this is actually true, or what the case is, but whenever you bring up, like how people don't like Roman and how, the people that are like us that, that are critical, the WWE points out that it's just a small percentage of the fans of the crowd that actually are like this.
Is it coincidence, perhaps, that they've gotten
like less than 1%
Rosenberg to start commentating and be that mark for the internet wrestling community?
No, that was planned.
Oh yeah, and he's doing the best job there.
But my point is basically exactly that. He was put in that position to essentially leave the concerns of the internet wrestling community and say, don't worry, I'm on the inside now. I know that things are going to be great, so I'm going to keep cheering Roman because he really is the man. I mean, that is what I perceived from last night's episode. I thought it was an absolute insult to anybody that, again, enjoys wrestling and likes to share their opinion online. And just because the WWE wants to basically put everyone in one category of being smarks and being part of the IWC, I think it's an absolute insult to anybody that just enjoys the sport of pro wrestling.
Well, he's mentioned this stuff before, and when he criticizes things like that, he gets kind of crapped on. You can see Booker T fucks with him.
He doesn't criticize. Rosenberg doesn't. He's just a fucking yes man. He's a fucking brown noser.
Yeah, he's putting on his chapstick to kiss their ass. He makes
himself look like a fucking idiot. He purposely makes himself look like a fucking idiot so that even somebody as ridiculous as Booker T can ridicule him.
Exactly.
Seriously.
That
Dave,
was,
did
that
you
was
catch the
funny
main
the other
event?
night. Booker T shits all over him. But dude, what's he gonna do?
I caught it this morning.
What's he gonna do?
after,
What's he gonna say? What's he gonna
last night's fiasco that I fell asleep.
What's he gonna go off script? And you know, I mean, he's there to, I would do.
Yeah,
This,
but
I would.
when Booker T's making fun of you, who can't even fucking string a proper sentence together, you're clearly fucking you're doing something on purpose to fucking make yourself look like an
I
idiot.
almost thought to myself, like, and by the way, I've met Booker T and he was nice when I met him, but you can see how Booker T could kind of jab at you. He was like jabbing at him multiple times. You know what I would have said is, you know what, I'm actually giving some opinions over here that people might be interested in. Why don't you just go play with a rubber ducky or quack quack, whatever the fuck you say usually.
Ducky, quack, quack.
Dude, oh my God. Can you imagine if Rosenberg said that? Like, hey, Booker, I know that, you don't like the idea that I'm sitting here right now because you've been demoted all the way down and I've been promoted and now we're on an equal level, so to speak. But I've actually got something I want to say. You can sit over there with your rubby ducky and your chucky quack quack and whatever the hell you say. That's all you've got. But I just gave you some information that I don't think has ever been mentioned at this table before. And I know that
I know that.
Booker, you know what, Booker? I know it blows your fucking mind, Booker, that I just gave you an opinion that you can't believe. But try to stay with me, Booker, okay? You'd never see him on that panel again.
Booker so bad. He could if he wanted to, but he's the plant. He's fucking Mitch.
He's their, company guy. Yeah,
I don't think so. I think he's doing an job.
They put Booker T in these positions to make him look like an idiot. Now you've got Rosenberg, who's fucking being made fun of by that idiot. I mean, it's clear that what they're trying to do is delegitimize anybody on the internet who has any sort of criticism towards a product that they actually care about and are willing to spend money on. I mean, it really is an insult to anyone that does appreciate that.
I gotta tell you something.
Make him look like an asshole.
I gotta tell you something too. I think you're right. I don't know about Rosenberg, if it's that bad with him, but yeah, they are bullying him. I mean, Heyman and him bullied the crap out of him. But you're right. They are doing this, and I think they're very aware of the internet voices, especially YouTube and podcasters and people. In fact, they're definitely aware of it now because I would say that based on my experience around the business and how I've done work with the WWE a little bit and how I've known people in the company here or there's a bunch of different people I've spoken to and a bunch of different things that have come up. And I would say to you that there is a high likelihood that many YouTubers who commentate on the product are attempted to be influenced.
Absolutely. They want to pull you in and either make you their best friend or you'll be their worst enemy, It's the same thing that happens, with like Call of Duty YouTubers and Activision. Suddenly they bring them out, they give them, early copies of the game and DLC, early access, and now you see them and they don't criticize the game anymore. Suddenly it's their favorite game year in and year out. Same thing with wrestling, If Rosenberg had any criticisms of Raw, look at what happened to Mick Foley. He broke his TV when Daniel Bryan wasn't being pushed. Then he gets signed, and then he's fighting with people saying, you shouldn't boo Roman.
Yeah,
give the guy a chance. How many times do we have to prove this, that they want to get their claws into everybody they can to silence them?
Yeah, this is not. This is not some kind of speculation. I can tell you
it's
first
the truth.
Fucking hand. There is a not so aggressive, I would say. And it's right. It's like the can't beat him, join him thing. Like, okay, sign that guy. So it's like Howard Stern Private Parts when they see Howard on the TV and he's shitting on everybody, and they're like, "Man, this guy's killing us. Can we get him?" It's the same way, but except for with the WWE, I feel like it's like that guy needs to he's really fucking influencing people to hate us, or like he's really perpetuating this shit. Can we sign him and then just fuck with him for a year, or we'll do whatever you can to get in his head? There's no doubt that that's going on. I mean, there is no doubt. I can't tell you why I know that, but I can tell you it is absolutely happening, and that's...
Well, I can tell you from not having any connections to the industry that it's clear as day when you just look at the actions and when you look at it all together and see the direction it's going in, even for someone like myself who does not have any connections to the wrestling industry, can see it, as clear as day. So, I mean, it's not like this should be a surprise to anybody, to be quite honest.
Yeah, Look at how many booking ideas you've come up with, Joe, that have come to fruition in the company. Things with Cesaro and so forth. They're listening. I mean, Road Dogg keeping in communication with you, it's not just because we like him and he's a good guy. You know, I swear they try and keep their tabs on everybody to a certain extent. Maybe that's not his, motive for things, but most other, people in positions of power have an ulterior motive. And like you said, if you can't beat them, join them. So they're trying to lure people into the, the dark side. Dark side has cookies.
And they can use the idea that people have wanted to work there, and that they can use that. I mean,
and be realistic. I know if they offered the three of us right now a job, but we could never criticize them again. But you'd be announcing Raw, you would never say a bad word again. How much do your morals stand against your dream?
Well, I would say that my position would change at that point. It would go from being a realistic, aggressive critic, someone who hosts a review show. I make a living off of critiquing a product. I mean, so that's the whole idea of this channel.
That's true too.
Even if there was only 10% wrong with it, we would hone in on that 10%. We would talk about all the good stuff too, because we have, when there's been great stuff that happened, like SmackDown and stuff like that. I can do a whole show breaking down how much I like it. And actually, it's easier then. I got to be honest. You know what? It's actually easier to critique things then, because you're more passionate. You're like,
that's
wow.
Very true.
You can go into how great all the good things were they did that night were, and break it down and be like, man, they did a great job, and you're happy. And then you can really hone in on that 10%, except for that Apollo Crews and Dolph Ziggler thing, because they almost put Dolph Ziggler over more, and then you could really break into that for like 20 minutes. And, that actually is easier to do. It's not easy to review a Raw now, to me, because it's too easy. Because it's just like, well, that sucked, and here's why, and it's the same reason last week. So
exactly.
So I don't want Raw to suck like this anymore. It's so much easier to do a SmackDown review. But yeah, no, absolutely, I wouldn't, because it wouldn't be in my interest. It wouldn't even be my job. My job would be to excite people. If I was the Raw announcer, if I was an announcer of SmackDown, or if I was in the WWE as a broadcaster, my job would be to excite those people. I don't give a crap if the booking sucks, if the wrestler fucks up, if whatever happens. I'm going to try to be as excited and portray that as much as possible over the air, and turn, if it's I'm going to try to turn shit into gold, and if it's something that is gold, I'm going to try to make sure that I keep it there and I don't turn it into shit. So I wouldn't be thinking anything about all the stuff like this.
I know you too well, though. The negatives would bother you to a certain extent, and you'd still address it some way, shape, or form, though. I picture you still sticking to your morals.
I don't know.
Dave, what upset me most about last night is that the main event can fit in a 6-second GIF. I've seen it so many times on Twitter. The entire main event, all 22 seconds, can be put into a fast-played GIF for 6 seconds. Kevin Owens held that title, the Universal Championship, for 188 days. And Dave Meltzer reported today that the quick finish had to do with WWE being heavily cautious about Goldberg's physical condition. They're worried about him, and they want to make sure that they can extend the storyline forward without any injuries happening. So we were all right, because he was backstage getting interviewed after Fastlane went off the air last night.
He almost died.
Was gassed. He was more out of breath than me,
Well, I got to tell you, that is what I would sound like, because I'm out of shape right now. I'm going to tell you 100%. That is exactly the breathing I would be doing after what Goldberg did. I mean, but that's
it's
bad.
Like me standing up from a chair, out of breath and ready to go. I sweat when I peel an orange. I get it. I'm not in prime physical condition, but for him, he looks fantastic. But is he not doing enough cardio? Is he,
No, the issue really, I think, just goes back to the fact that the WWE really is just banking on these old-timer part-timers to sort of prop up their current product, because they don't have anything. And when, again, this guy, 5 minutes at most? I mean, his fucking entrance is probably longer than the fucking the match.
In 10 years, he's had a minute and 48 seconds worth of fights in the ring.
So my point is,
it was 22 seconds last night, Dave. 22 fucking seconds.
Exactly. So my point is, basically, they're banking on these old timers that are going to put in these really short matches, to the point where they're actually, like Joe mentioned last night on his review, cutting other matches short to try to accommodate, because they've got to meet that time demand. Although they continue to put all these fucking commercials in the show.
Can I tell you that it worked for me, though? Oh, go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to conclude by basically saying that it's just really an unsatisfactory product, especially by the way that they're executing it when, okay, you can call us smarks if you want, but why is it that we can propose a product that seems to garner support from a lot of other people and a lot of people agree with it, but the WWE, isn't executing these things, although, there's a lot of people that are showing that support for it, although strangely, ideas like yours are being stolen and put onto TV. So what is it? Do they agree with the WC and say, you guys have good ideas, let's try to do your way, see if it works? Or are they just going to tacitly steal ideas and try to execute them in hopes of trying to make a better product without acknowledging the fact that they've got problems?
I think it's some cases it's both, because you see certain guys in the company who do like our sort of views on things, but are still trying to balance it out with the way the company is. And a lot of those guys are on SmackDown, and you see that. You know that they're on your side. They're not happy that everyone's so critical, but they themselves are critical and want to see the type of wrestling maybe that you want to see. So, and then there's the other side that's the old school, or at least the old way of doing it, which has been horrible recently, really, is the reason why Raw is so bad. And they want to do things a different way. And it's, I don't know, I'd say 30% of the crowd, to be honest, is a different crowd. You're looking at two different audiences now. You're looking at 70% of the audience, which is the casual, like, whatever, they're just there to see Disney, Disney on Ice. Hey, Disney on Ice is here, bring the kids, let's go. How many, you think about that stuff, like, but how many, look at Disney as an example. Let's look at Disney as an example. Disney on Ice, or somebody goes to see the new movie, the new Disney movie or whatever. All those people are just like, we love Disney, we have Disney stuff, and we're going to go see it, and we're going to pay money. There's no part of that crowd, really, that is like, oh my God, like, they need to fix this movie. They need to fix the movies. They don't do it right anymore. They got to do, like, there's no crowd like that there. Wrestling is the only thing that's like that. So you have the sort of the hardcore fans, like the old school, the hardcore, the smarks, the whatever, and they're all conjured up into this 20% of the crowd, maybe 20 or 30% of the crowd. And then depending on what city you go to, it changes. Like, Chicago, it's probably 60% of the crowd. But so WWE, like, is fighting, is sort of fighting this battle between those two. Like, these guys are really loud even though they're 20 and 30%, these guys are really fucking loud, and they all buy the network, and these other 70%, though, they're the ones who come to all the shows and shit. Like, they're the ones that go to the house shows. If you go to the house shows, that's why if you go to a house show, the Usos, all right, when the Usos are facing the club, the fucking club was booed, like, by everybody almost. And I was at the house shows and I heard it. You go to television and you get that mix again, but you go to the house show and it's mostly the families and the kids and shit, because they're just there because it's Disney. Whereas the hardcores are there like, this is my life. Like, wrestling is what I do. This is what I believe in. This is what I love. They know the parts of the business that maybe many of those casuals don't even know. Somebody says Harley raced or something. A lot of those people will be like, "What the hell's you want to have a race with me?" But so there's just two different versions of the audience, and also then divided up into many mini sections that I've talked about this before, like a pie graph of fans. And the WWE has to like tread water by keeping them all afloat and keep recycling the new fans in. And we've talked about the temporary fans. I would say the temporary fans make up the majority of the fan base. These people that like wrestling for 2 to 3 years and then they're done. But as that happens, there's a bunch of brand new people finding it that like it for 2 to 3 years. But again, if you have a spark or a lightning rod where all of a sudden a superstar blows up, like a John Cena or the new Daniel Bryan or somebody else, a new Stone Cold, new Hulk Hogan, something like that happens, and whatever group of those 2 to 3 year fans are watching, those people will probably become longer fans because it will be an exciting time or something, and they'll be like, "Wow, this is exciting. I'm gonna watch this." Or someone fucking, dives off the top of a Hell in the Cell and then goes through a fucking table and explodes or something. When that type of stuff, when it starts to happen repetitively, you're gonna stick around longer. The more exciting things get, So that's where we're at, though. We really haven't seen that excitement now in a few years, and I think that's why attendance is dropping. You're seeing that attendance drop, but the company has also expanded its branding, and the company has done a great job of marketing, so they're making more money than they ever have before. Despite
but on products such as the WWE meets the Jetsons, or WWE meets the Scooby Doo. Okay, so that works well for like the direct-to-DVD market and such, but is that really the way to manage a company? I mean, I understand it's sports entertainment, it's not directly wrestling, and clearly the WWE is more and more moving towards just a media company than just a sports entertainment or wrestling company. So what does that say for the product in the long run? What does that say about wrestling in the long run?
Wrestling, what you're seeing is that 30 to 20% of the smarky, old school, hardcore, whatever fans that you categorize them as, you're seeing a lot of them disperse out to indie shows and seek out indie shows more than ever. You're seeing anybody who starts to become a big fan of WWE, like a real wrestling fan of WWE, even them start to search out for other promotions and other things to watch rather than WWE. And you're seeing them just be critical.
You talked about spreading basically diversifying the product, and that's what these cartoons are, these movies that they're directly producing and stuff, and I've tried to watch some of them, and they're abysmal. But there's clearly a market for it, and they're not stupid. They're not going to be wasting money on something that doesn't have any revenue generation. So I'm wondering from both of you, what do you guys think in regards to this in the overall picture, like in regards to the product itself? Because I personally think it waters it down, that it's, again, diversifying unnecessarily into
Are you talking about the WWE Network content?
Well, it's not just that. It's the direct-to-DVD movies and such. Again, these animated movies where it's got John Cena with fucking Scooby-Doo, or fucking the WWE universe with the Jetson family. I mean, I'm talking about, I don't know if you've ever bothered to watch this stuff, but it's abysmal. It's garbage.
You know why they do it? Because they make money.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You want to know why? You want to know why?
But they've moved out. They're not a sports entertainment company anymore. That's the thing. They're a media company. They've got a network. They've got their fucking sports venues. They've got their direct-to-DVD movies, whether it be for kids with an animated movie with the wrestlers, or one of these things like Marine 8 or whatever the fuck number they're on right now. I mean, again, they're not concentrated on the product. This is potentially what Ted Turner always wanted in the first place, like a media empire geared around wrestling, because that's what you've got right now with the WWE.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. None of that bothers me because it just makes sense. They're just making money. I mean, I'm not going to buy that shit. I don't like that stuff.
But you don't think it takes away from the product? You don't think it diminishes the value of the wrestling itself?
Yeah, I think it.
That's my concern. That's what I'm trying to get at here, is whether or not you guys think.
Yeah, because you got a guy.
When they invest all this money in other stuff and they're not concentrating on the wrestling, do you guys think that it might just be detrimental to the overall idea that they're supposed to be promoting pro wrestling?
Yeah. I mean, when you got wrestlers who miss time because they have to film Rudolph Fuck Santa too, I mean,
and all that stupid shit. I mean, look at Eva Marie. We haven't seen her in months because she's been filming after her wellness violation.
They don't give them much for that. It's like that's like part of your contract. So you go to film, you get like you get a $20,000 bonus to shoot a movie. You know what I mean? So it's like they make $500,000 on the movie because they sell 50,000 units.
Plus, like you said right there, it's in their contract because it's WWE Studios. So it's their own production company. So they're not, they're spending money to make the movie, but they're not needing investors and blah, blah, blah. It's just from in-house production. So.
You're paying actors like peanuts, you know what I mean? You're paying...
Exactly.
You pay like...
That's the thing. I'm not denying that this is a smart business move.
Yeah, okay no, I got you.
Media company, that's a smart business move. But in the overall terms of wrestling, what does it say about the product? And that's what I'm concerned about, is what faith can we have in a product that basically disappoints us every week like a bad whore?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. To me, it just comes down to the decision making and the writing. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter if they make Santa belows fucking Rudolph 3. It doesn't matter if they make fucking, Santa puts the North Pole up his ass. It doesn't matter what they do. The product itself is going to suffer because of the writing and the storytelling and the decision making. Look at SmackDown. SmackDown does really well week to week. They just have to make sure they do really well when it comes to pay-per-views. They have to make sure the wrestling gets better. Raw, they have the ability to have the best wrestling matches, but their decision-making and storytelling fucking sucks. So that's easy to fix. That has nothing to do, to me, with Commando 7 or whatever the fuck they make. The Miz blows a fucking murderer. It's got everything to do with the writing and the decision-making. I actually, by the way, real quick, I want to tell you, and we got to get out of here for this video, but I enjoyed the ending last night. I really did. I liked it. Break the walls down. And, Kevin Owens is surprised. And here comes Jericho. I thought that was cool. We kind of knew it was going to happen. But I actually popped for that. I'm actually interested in seeing their rivalry. I'm actually interested in seeing Owens versus Jericho. And I'm interested in Triple H versus Seth Rollins. Which is weird because those are the two things I'm now kind of mostly interested in. But yet those are both Raw people. I'm not interested in seeing Raw weekly. I'm not interested in watching Monday Night Raw whatsoever. But I am interested in those guys now fighting in a match. Where
if you could just clip those parts out of the show, then you'd be completely happy.
Yeah, weird. I don't get it. Because SmackDown, though...
You want to see the entire show. I mean, tonight, what do we have to look forward to? We have Goldberg. He's going to make his, debut as champion tonight. Seth Rollins is going to have an exclusive look at how his rehab is going. Rich Swann is challenging Neville for the Cruiserweight title. Roman Reigns is calling himself the Monster Hunter now, and, obviously we're going to see if this leads to him and Taker or
Oh, my God. What did Cole say in the ring last night? He said, Roman Reigns climbed the mountain to slay the mountain among men. What the fuck did that mean, bro? That was the weirdest thing.
For the love of all mankind. It's that kind of shit.
Who is telling him to say this stuff? I mean, I know who, but I feel so bad for Michael Cole.
He was terrible last night. And then Bayley, she still got the title. Sasha posted before, 16-1 is just a battle scar.
But hold on, this is something I actually spoke to, and I asked JD and Joe about this, that the whole streak of her pay-per-view run was supposed to be something that she could laud over other individuals and use it as sort of like a promotional tool.
Yeah, it was a bit of clout.
Now that's gone. And they're still probably going to play hot potato with that title in the Raw roster. So what does Charlotte have left other than her Ric Flair name? I mean,
nothing.
She should have been able to
that's the problem.
garner something that was of value that she could continue to hold over. Again, that streak, if they wanted to hold that, fine. But it's kind of sad, to be quite honest.
I'm surprised. A lot of things ended last night. It's seemingly unnecessarily. Stuff that should have ended at a WrestleMania ended last night. It was really weird.
Yep.
We saw that at the last pay-per-view too.
Yeah,
the last Raw pay-per-view.
Yeah, they're you know what happens with Raw? I swear to God, with Raw, what they do is they try to just do. They have to pull out everything right away because they have nothing story-wise. So they just have to, again, Raw does things, and that's what they had to do. They had to be like, you know what, abandon ship on this whole fucking, pay-per-view streak thing.
Pull the plug.
I'll give you a prime example. They have vignettes on Eric Rowan's YouTube page. I sent you one, Joe, where apparently he said, nice try, Orton, but he had saved Sister Abigail. We don't know if that's, something he's doing on his own or if it is, going to mingle into the story with Bray and Orton. But still, the fact that they've had this storyline in mind since, around the time about SummerSlam is fantastic. I've been complaining previously about the lack of long-term booking, and that's what SmackDown's giving us. They have a plan in place. Raw is so disjointed and lackluster because everything's pulled out of thin air. It feels like they've got a bunch of monkeys on typewriters throwing darts at a board.
Yeah, it's almost like just unload everything we got, unload it all right now. It's like someone borrowing money from the bank or whatever. It's just like, hey, you don't really have the money for this now. Maybe wait a couple weeks and you will. No, fuck that. Just go into my 401k, and then you don't have anything left. That's what Raw has been doing. And hope without storytelling, just like pull another one out and throw it, pull some more out. And I don't get it. Anyway, that's our time. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you subscribe down below and click the like button, click the subscribe button, and watch these other videos that maybe you missed on my channel. They're popping up right now for you, and enjoy those. And if you want to support the show, patreon.com/Joe Cronin Show. That's where you go.